All right, guys, so let's talk about getting shallow in the golf swing. One of the still most misunderstood things about the golf swing and what people are trying to do. I deal with it every day. And it can be very frustrating as a coach because you want to help people, but they come in from, YouTube or different forms of media that, oh, I see people swinging like this and I see that I have to do that, but they don't have the concept of what's going on. So a lot of explanation can be needed, but I've found, like I mentioned, that this training aid here can be one of the biggest helps in what we were trying to do, along with some video feedback showing them what is actually going on in the swing. So this is called the AccuFly Speedball. Don't think it's actually a golf training aid. It's just a weight, but I will link it down below. Very, very inexpensive. But what it does is you can just attach this to anything that'll fit on. And you got this golf club here. When you take your golf club, if you balance it on your finger, just find the balance point of the club. We have very close to this. It's actually technically just off of the shaft because of the size of the club head. We have what's called the center of mass. So what I can do though is I can attach this weight to the club at that balance point. You're going to be close enough to the center of mass that we can actually have an idea of where we are swinging this point in the golf club. This is critical to understanding how a golf club works, is how do we swing the center of mass of the club? It'll change your life in your golf swing. So what do I see most times with people when they're trying to get shallow? Well, they come to me and they say, okay, well, I need to get the shaft to do something like this. So they bring the club back, shaft needs to lay down and pitch in what they call a shallower or a flatter plane. That is a different thing than getting shallow. That is just shaft pitch, okay? Getting the club to pitch differently does not automatically make you shallow. And in fact, I think it can make, if you try to force it, I think you're going to run into a lot of issues in your golf swing. I see it every day. What do most people do though when they just try to pitch the shaft? Well, they get this center of mass, they go up and they say, all right, I'm going to do this. Well, the center of mass of the club is still moving out and it's way outside here of the golf ball. So they have to do a couple of things. They need to start to get the club to go down. So we see a lot of start casting, throwing to get the club down. They also start to extend and tilt because they're way out over the golf ball. And let's say they're trying to hit from the inside. What they do is they start to tilt and extend, trying to bring that center of mass of the club back behind so they can swing out and maybe hit a draw, or just because they've been told to swing from the inside. There's a lot of issues that can happen. Now, what do we want to see? What do I like to see? What would I say is shallow in a golf swing? Well, for me, it's pretty simple. I think when you're bringing it back, you're going to see somebody bring the club back. The center of mass is going to be at a point, and they're going to bring the club up. And for the most part, you're going to see most good ball strikers bring the center of mass back down, and it will be somewhere just inside where they took it back. So if I took it back here, let's say right there, I'm going to go up and bring it down. Now I'm on the inside of that. It does not take much to achieve this. And what people start to realize is that they will, when they see it on video, they're absolutely blown away what it looks like, because they do start to see the shaft pitching in a little bit of a flatter direction. But they don't feel like they're doing all this work to get this club to lay down. So again, to me, shallow is, if you want a shallower swing, we got to bring it up and we got to bring it down with the center of mass behind where you took it back. That's going to be the simplest way and the one that works to be the most effective, because we'll go through a little bit more of the positions, but we still need to get back to the golf ball at some point. So let's break it down a little more. How can we achieve these positions in our swing? So why do I like this device? I like having the weight. Now, caution, I would not hit golf balls with this, okay? Too much weight. I think you're going to have a chance to damage your golf clubs, possibly break them, but it's a great one to train and work with your clubs. Do that, very slow swings, and get a feel for it, okay? When I get set up here, what I have, all right, I've gotten set up. When I start to bring this club back, I've got my center of mass here. If I bring the club back, the number one swing fault we see, and we talked about this in the takeaway video, which if you didn't watch that, I will link that below. But when we bring the club back, we like to see a takeaway, or I like to see a takeaway where the club is either on the hands or outside, somewhere outside. And now what you're going to see is the reason I like that is when we work up, and if our goal is to be shallow, I want this center of mass to come down on the inside of where I took it back. That's what I want to see. So if I get the club outside here, it's a lot easier for that to happen as I move through my swing. If I bring it back a little bit on the inside, which players do, I can bring it back and I can still do it, but it's just you got to be careful. If you start getting too inside, you have nowhere to go that's going to still hit a functional golf shot. You're going to have to drop the club really low, really inside, do some crazy tilting to be able to hit the golf ball. Just not going to work out in the long run. So when people are working with this device, what do I like to see? When we bring this club back, I like really, really light grip pressure here, really light grip pressure. And I just want them to start wiggling the club, get the weight, get the center of mass moving, and then let it settle out here, okay? And you'll see, all right, hey, it kind of feels a little heavy, starting to try to fall down. My hand is stopping it because it's hitting my pad of my hand in the grip, but it does fall a little bit. If I do the same thing and bring it back here, you can see it falls a lot more because there's nothing to support the club. Now, if I go like this and get where I feel like the center of mass is pretty close to in line with the grip, all of a sudden, very light grip pressure, but you can see the club really doesn't move because everything is lined up and I'm not forcing or fighting anything with the weight of the golf club. That's really, really important in our journey to try to shallow the club out. Now, the same thing can happen when I take this up to the top of the swing. When I get up here, I like to see the center of mass in a good position in line with the grip. But if I start wiggling the club up here, I go that way, man, it really falls quick. If I go this way, same thing, it's going to start falling quick. Now, again, if you're somebody that's across the line, you could technically get this club to shallow, but you start to see how difficult it can be to manage that. It takes a lot of reps, and it will have some issues maybe with how you control the golf ball as you go further down with your swing. But if I can get this thing in a position where nice and balanced, and then same thing here, when I bring this down, I just need to bring the club down, feel like it's nice and balanced. You can see I've brought the center of mass to the inside of where I took it back, and now I'm in a shallow position. You can see if I bring it up a little more, when I do that, look at where I'm getting with my golf club. That looks really, really good to be able to then continue in. I can start rotating. I can get the club lined up where I can do a lot of the things that people are trying to look for in their golf swing. So this is an extremely, extremely helpful tool in being able to find these spots because, again, I can visualize. Club goes back, we bring it up, bring it down to the inside. A lot of people are going to say, hey, I don't even feel like I'm doing any of this. Well, you're not. You're really bringing it down and feeling like you're almost going the opposite way because we need to get the club traveling down, and then I need to get it to line up for impact so I can actually make contact with the ball. If I get this club shallowing a ton and I'm back here, I've got to do some crazy rotation that I can't even demonstrate for you, but I also need to whip the club around and get the face square. Going to be very, very difficult. And then I'm going to have to do some crazy wrist things as well, just to make sure I can make contact. So really, really an interesting way to do it. But this is a great tool to see what I think is an easier way and start understanding that shallowing. Now, once we do that, again, I wouldn't hit golf balls with it, but what I would start doing is, let's get this club going. All right, I can feel where that balance point is. Again, extremely light. Bring it up, extremely light. Bring it down, extremely light and on the inside. And then I can take that into a golf swing. and that's what we'll get. So we'll get something that's a little bit more on that shallow motion to what we're trying to do. So any questions about that? I will post the link to this device down below, but let's start getting the shallow under control, but let's do it in a proper way that's going to help your golf swing. Best thing I found. Also, hey, that club felt really light there, so hey, maybe help you get some speed training going with it as well as you're hitting shots. But questions about it, please leave that comment down below. And as always, click that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.